Welcome to Texas 10. I'm Melissa.
And I'm what am I today? I'm Steve. I'm just Steve. I'm Astounded
Finally.
Steve.
Yes, I'm Astounded Melissa, because we are here today with a great. We are here with Merel Bregante. Oh, let me say that again, Bregante. I kind of swallowed that. Merel Bregante, who is a phenomenal musician. He is a phenomenal drummer. You may know Loggins Messina. You may know the Sunshine Company if you're a little bit older. He's a fantastic drummer, but he is also now an amazing producer and just one of the best storytellers I think
That's
I've
what I
ever
was
been
going to
with.
say. That's your most amazing talent, Merle, is being a storyteller. So we're here to listen to your stories today. Why don't you say hi to the folks at Texas 10?
What? Oh, sorry. Hey, y'all. I'm proud to be here. These two, you're really lucky because this is a great blog. And I only can invite you with all of my heart. Don't pay them for it. I don't, but no, listen and watch. They've got a great crew here. And because of what I do, I celebrate this crew. They're pros.
Well,
Good for you guys to have these guys.
Great for us.
this is a great segment. We have a segment now that's called Texas Troubadours, and I think Merle fits that. Although he's not a native Texan, I think he got here as quickly as he could, and you heard him say y'all, so he's obviously been naturalized.
A naturalized Texas. So we're here in Liberty Hill, Texas, in your studio. And just tell us, we're going to work backwards. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do today?
Today,
Mm-hmm.
I play the drums, hand percussion. I in quotes produce, but that's a whole conversation. I have gathered proudly some great musicians, and if I have anything that I really know how to do, I think it's arrange. I believe that a song will tell me if I keep my mouth shut and have my ears open, that I will be told what that song needs. And I realize this sounds pretty damn hippy-dippy, but I believe it with all of my heart.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, so what I was going to say is what you're describing, I had always envisioned happening in New York and Los Angeles. And we're in Liberty Hill, Texas, and you're putting together this great music, or helping musicians put together this great music, playing on some of it yourself. How do you do that from what is this, a 10 by 10 room? I mean, it's
A little bigger than that.
Okay, well, how does that happen?
Well, first of all, I grew up in the studio in LA. I've recorded in New York a million times, so I understand that part of it. These days, everything is digital anyway. And I've been blessed, again, with the people that I work with. They're just amazing musicians. And the people that I get to work with in terms of artistry are wonderful songwriters. Truly, truly. I feel blessed on both sides of that. And I let the song tell me what it wants. And then if it wants keyboards, I send music off to a fellow named Pete Wasner, and who is quite famous in his own right. And Pete, not long ago, said, "Merle's my favorite producer because he doesn't tell me what to do." What they do is they send me a lot of stuff, and then it's my job to arrange, edit and arrange, and that's something that I do believe I do well.
I think that's amazing because, your image, when you think about someone cutting a record, I think about all the musicians being in the room. I think about the old, film that you would see of a soundtrack being laid, and how you'd have your strings, and then you'd go and you'd see the vocalists, and then they worked with them separately, but they were all there. And you were talking to us a little bit ago about how it's so different. I mean, you look at the sound room, you don't see the huge soundboard anymore. So tell us a little bit about how a song is produced and just the process.
The process for me, I try to have the artist come here, and we'll sit down, just one song, we'll work on that. And he or she will play the song, and we'll listen. And hopefully because I don't consider myself the boss. I consider myself a partner with these artists, with what we do, because my goal at the end of the day is to have that person think that this might well be the best thing they've ever done. That's my goal. I want them to be happy. I don't give a shit about me.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't in terms of ego. I want them to be happy. So sit them down, play a guitar or the piano, and go through a song, looking for a tempo, looking for a key. Guitar players so often, what key is that? G. Oh, what key is that? B flat, G shape, capo 3. It's like that. And I'm like, okay, let's think about this. And we look for a key. For me, if there's more than one that they can sing, low notes aren't too low, high notes aren't too high, we've got good clarity throughout. There's one of those keys that's the emotionally correct key. And that's the one that makes the hair on my arms go up. And I'm like, okay, I think that's our key. How does it feel? Oh, I didn't try that before, but it feels pretty good. That kind of thing happens. Get a tempo. Typically these days, I will write a click track, not just quarter notes, unless that's what they want, but I put together like a little drum groove or something that they can play to. And then they will go out and put on headphones and play to the click or not. I'll get a good tempo written. I will get a good guitar pass or piano pass. I will get a good vocal. I consider those scratch, although, especially with the voice, I'll set up for a real vocal. I'll use the microphone that I think will be right for that voice. I'll use the right preamp that I consider right for that. The signal path from the singer's mouth to my software, I try to make it the real deal, because so often I'm going to want to use a scratch vocal because it's where the magic can really happen. Sometimes that first take, sometimes there's magic. So, and that's how it really is a collaborative effort. And by the time, and I consider that pre-production. And by the time I'm done with that, hopefully we've got a body of work where I've got good guitar pass, I've got a good vocal pass, I've got a good tempo. If there's going to be a click track, I've recorded that. And then with that, I can send to keys, or I would probably then send to bass. I would like to get the bass on there. I take advantage of one thing, and that is with a click track, I send it to the bass, but I send the keyboards, guitar, whatever we're going to have. And then when it's all compiled, then I play drums. Because then I can be the drummer of the band, rather than coming up with something and then hoping that everyone else digs what I've done.
Right.
I don't worry about it.
That's interesting, because I always think of the drummer as the heartbeat of the band. And so to have that laid last versus...
I know.
That's interesting to me.
It blows people's minds sometimes when I say that. So far, I'm very thankful to say that I'm pretty successful at what I do, and my process is very, very painless. It's painless, and the players that I use are really good with a click. If there's no click, and someone just emoting, then the players have great ears, and you just sit down and settle in and understand where the song goes, tempo wise, groove wise, attitude wise, and the guys and girls that I use, they just sort of get the song and they just flow into it.
Well, one of the songs that they got is the song that precedes our and ends our with the great Randy Palmer.
Yes.
That turned out pretty good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I Love This Land. Well, that's when we knew Randy speaks so highly of you. He was so excited to tell us about you. And so you guys are two musicians talking, and I'm a music appreciator. Yes, sir.
I became a drummer because I got sick and tired of being accused of being a musician.
What did you play before you played the drums?
Violin, trumpet, and baritone.
Okay.
Euphonium.
Yeah, tell us how that happened, how it ended with your violin. I love that story. My daughter will really appreciate
How the
it.
violin ended up under my butt when I sat on it because I hated it so much.
Now, you were a little one.
After
when
1
that
year,
happened.
4 years old.
I love that because my daughter, I also tried to get her to play the violin, and it lasted not long.
Right. So,
Oh, boy.
But so what I was saying is that, everybody's job seems easy to people that don't do it. Right. And so when I hear a song on the radio, I just envision super talented people that it just happens. Right.
Yeah.
And just one looking around at all the implement and then hearing the process. There's so much. I mean, I don't know if you consider it work because it's a passion for you, but there's so much effort that goes into it. And you have the advantage of being a very young 80 or almost 80,
Almost
right?
80.
Almost 80. And you've got a lifetime in music. Do you think that sort of accounts for some of your success today that you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like arranging,
Mm-hmm.
playing Philharmonic music, growing up with Western music. But at the same time, we would sit on Saturday evenings, my beautiful mother from Montana, and we would listen to Louisiana Hayride. I heard Hank Williams sing. I heard Elvis when he was like 16 years old singing spiritual music. And here's a young man from like that. And on Sundays, I would sit with my father and we would listen to the Mario Lanza Hour and we would listen to Italian opera.
Wow.
Well,
The first music that I was given, I was 5 years old from my beautiful parents. God, I tell people I was born in heaven and raised by two angels. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. When I was 5 years old, we had a 78, and my mom and dad bought me a Decca collection, wax, the thick records.
Right. Decca DECCA.
Yeah.
Right?
DECCA.
Yeah.
And I've still got it downstairs. And it was, where does this come from? They bought me Gershwin, Rhapsody in Blue, and American in Paris. And that's the stuff that I listen to. Right. How crazy. And I'm from San Pedro, California.
And your dad was a fisherman, right?
Fisherman.
Okay. Italian family. Mom has grown up in Montana.
A Norwegian family.
Norwegian
and Swede, please.
So that's an interesting combination all by itself, but it speaks to something about music and how it's like almost aspirational.
Absolutely. It is.
Well, and it's the common language.
Right.
It brings everyone together. It is the one thing that can bring us together.
It is our common language. And when I'm feeling the need, I will end like a post or an email or whatever. Pray for peace on earth through the magic of music.
There you go.
Yes.
That's how I will.
I just assumed, because you're a great musician, I asked you early how you got into music, and when you said you started at 4, I immediately went to the assumption that your parents were musicians. And they weren't musicians, they were just lovers of music.
I don't even know that.
Well, they introduced you to music. They introduced
I
you
have
to
no idea how.
Louisiana Hayride.
How did they do that? My mom, the first song that I remember, sincerely remember, and I can sing it right now, terrifyingly so, is Red River Valley. Mm-hmm. And one of the most amazing lines in music, there are two that my dear friend Jackson Brown at 17 wrote, "Do not confront me with my failures. I have not forgotten them." That line is just, it's so amazing. It's so deep. It's so incredibly beautiful. And he was like 17 when he wrote it. And the other line is, come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember that Red River Valley and the cowboy that loved you so true. Fuck, that is just like, it blows my mind how beautiful those words are. And that's music.
Yes.
Right. And people are still chasing that today. I mean, there's a Jackson Brown out there. I don't know who wrote Red River Valley.
That actually, everybody thinks it's a cowboy song.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
but it was written in the 30s about the Red River in Canada. It's an old Canadian folk song.
Well, there you go. See, that's learning something new,
There
right?
you go.
So
And the Red River does empty into North Dakota.
right. Okay. So you get started at an early age, and I said we're going to work backwards.
Right.
Now we're just
we're
we're skipping
switched.
around,
It's
right?
okay.
But you grew up playing all those instruments, and then you turned to the drums to get a girl. Is that what I understand? Okay.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because I will say we always look at the drummers.
Right.
Well, that's the whole deal.
I mean, you're physical and yeah.
Well,
I can see why you would do that.
my problem was that there was a girl that was beautiful that I was really interested in, but not too many people were really so cool if I said, and I'm a euphonium player.
Now, a band geek girl would go, oh, they're always
A band geek.
Yes, because the euphonium players always had the best sense of humor.
Well, yeah, look what we played.
You had to.
Still to this day, my beautiful wife, Sarah, there's a bassin downstairs that late at night when no one's looking, I still break out and play. It's not
Okay.
pretty. The embrasure's gone, but it's okay.
So tell us how you got from the euphonium to the drums with the hot girl.
I lied. I told her I was a drummer.
And then?
I got busted. And then I had to man up and say, okay, I lied. I'm sorry. Or I had 2 weeks to learn how to play the drums for this sports night at our community college. And I decided I got to learn how to play the drums.
It kind of reminds me of the movie Love Actually, where the little boy, have you seen the movie?
Yes.
It's one of our favorites. And the little boy falls in love with this little classmate, and he wants to be in the show, and he locks himself in his room to learn how to play the drums. I mean,
And that was Merle.
Well,
that
yeah,
was
I
Merle.
was
A little older, but yes.
I was locked in the garage with my dad's shortwave radio, but yeah.
I love that.
So
Okay, so you started playing, and then what was your first group? First band.
The first band. God, I can't even remember the name of that. That was the two acoustic guitars and the drums, and we played at a beer bar in Redondo Beach, California.
Isn't that where everyone starts?
$30 a night in 1965.
Riches, fame and riches.
And I was living at home, and we were poor people. And we were playing 6 nights a week, 5 sets a night, and I was bringing home $180 a week, and that was a king's ransom.
Yeah. And your parents supported your endeavors in music.
The first gold record I was ever presented, I gave to my folks.
Oh, that is
And
so great.
the one time they saw me playing Loggins Messina was at the Forum in LA. It was, 20,000 people, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of folks. And I had them front row center.
I-
And of course, as soon as we started playing, I went down to the front, and my mom and dad are trying to look over the heads of all these people. And the best story of that night, when we were done and go to the we would play 2.5 hours, and I could wring the water out of my clothes.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
go back in the dressing room, change, come out into the green room, and there's and one of the tour managers, there were a couple tour managers, one of the guys went and got my mom and dad and brought him back into the green room, and I walked out and I said, so, and my mom was like, yeah, and my dad was like, well, it was a little loud, but like that. And I said, so tell me. And he said, well, probably the strange thing that happened. He said there was this nice young man standing next to me, and then me, and then mom, and then some more young people. And he said, and this young man kept handing me a cigarette, and he said, Ma, I don't smoke. And he said, well, pass it on then. And my mom would take it and pass it on. And they were passing them, they were passing joints.
Right.
I love it.
But your mom and dad were front and center. It's something I've always dreamed of being in a big rock. I was front and center in one small concert with Jimmy Vaughn, but that's as close
That's
as I've
good.
gotten. It was
good.
awesome.
That's good.
But I've not ever been in that big and right there. Yeah.
So you started with the bar band, right? And then
I did have a question about that. My true idea of success is, were any beer bottles thrown at you?
Actually, not until Loggins and Messina.
Well, then that first little gig was a success.
Oh no, that was a total success.
Right.
Awesome.
I mean, people were drunk on beer, and it was a surf club, and everybody.
Did you play the Jan and Dean and all that sort of stuff? Or?
Actually, yeah, some of it. It was more Secret Agent Man.
Oh no, I can't believe you said that. So I have a problem, and I'm going to confess it. I can carry a tune. I've got a decent voice.
Okay.
But I can never remember all the words. Or when I'm listening, if it's not really clear, and we were driving on a vacation with the kids, and I am singing, and this is not politically correct, but that's what I thought the words were. Secret Asian man. And they looked at me and they said, what? I said, I'm just singing the words. He goes, it's not Secret Asian man. Plus he goes, that doesn't even make sense.
Well, that's hilarious.
It's Secret Agent Man.
Well, that's
so it's
hilarious.
funny that you
But
bring
I
that
understand
song
that
up.
because
Thank you.
Stevie Winwood had a song called Higher Love.
Yes.
Great song.
I thought for the longest time, and it was the coolest name of a song, I thought he was singing Pile of Love. Bring me a pile of love. And I'm like, yes, yes.
Well, you know, it happens. We were singing I was listening to Loggins and Messina yesterday, and I messed up the words there too, instead of police.
Oh, sure, we messed up the words every night.
Right. It was from Mama Don't Dance, right? And so
it's a song that I claim that this is a great song because I know every word. I can sing the whole
and
thing.
the lyric where he says "local police" at the end of
Louis.
Louis, and she said, I forgot, but it wasn't local police. It was
Local boys.
something like that.
Makes sense. Y'all probably see. It's probably because I listened to a live album where you guys sang it wrong.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
Just quick. Go ahead.
Nope. You go ahead.
No, it's a quick one. We traveled the first part of that band. We traveled commercial, and we would rent 2 station wagons. Jimmy and Kenny and the 2 tour managers rode in one. They led the pack, and then Larry and John and Al and I rode in the second one. Okay, so they're doing whatever the stars did, and we're sitting, and we would drive for hours sometimes. And while they were up there, we were rolling joints, getting stoned, and listening, because we always got a cassette of the night before show, and they didn't want to hear it. That's great, because we did, because every day we would listen to what we did the night before, because it helped us get better.
Right.
That band, the original 6-piece band, was monstrously good. And we really worked at making it better and better and better. And we listened and got stoned. And John Clark would sit in the back and he would make his own oboe reeds.
Yes, of course. Well, if you're an oboist, you're not. You have to make your own.
You know, he was teaching me. He taught me about, and Al making his alto reeds, and about the heart and all of that. Okay, so that's
very difficult.
That's what we would do.
Well,
so
okay,
you did that stoned.
Oh yeah, but it's fun.
Well, maybe that was my problem.
Well, Baylor.
Maybe I could have made better reads if I had just gotten stoned.
If you'd gone to UNT instead of Baylor,
you know,
it would have worked out.
I'm sorry you didn't meet me 40 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so you buried the lead there because you just flippantly said, okay, I'm in the bar band, and now I'm with Loggins Messina as one of them.
No. From that band,
okay,
there came a band called The Reckless Set, and The Reckless Set had a guy, Gary Littrell. Oh God, I'm really pulling him out. Amazing. I still have a great memory.
I'm very impressed.
And Gary Littrell, and he sang like Jagger. And so this was a Stones copy band when the most current record was like Between the Buttons or something like that. Old original Stones. And so I played in that band for a while. It broke up. He got drafted. That went away. And then I played in probably my favorite pre-whatever band, and that was called the Thin Red Line. And we were a trio. And we had, I literally sat on my hair. And we played, when everyone in LA was playing the Beatles or the Beach Boys, Jan and Dean, that whole pop thing,
right.
We were playing Zombies and really weird English rock and roll kind of stuff. So that was, and we might have been the only band in LA that did that. We worked a lot, and it was great fun. Just a trio. And Thin Red Line was a badass band. And then that broke up. And by that time I was in school, and I met, and I'd lied already and gotten past that. And I was seriously into my drums. And for some reason I never took a lesson, but it just kept working.
That was my next question. As you got interested, did
Never.
you?
Not one day, not
Wow.
1 minute. I've never taken a drum lesson.
A formal lesson.
Hand percussion,
Okay.
I have with Milt Holland, my dearest Milt. And we put a band together, the Sunshine Company. Quick story. Sunshine Company, and we learned some songs, and we all like to sing. And there's a guy named Larry Sims who played guitar, but he said, I think I can play the bass. And a girl named Mary Nance, who I had a crush on when I was 12, because we both went to the same church, and Maury Manso, this amazing acoustic guitar player, and a guy named Doug Mark, nicknamed red hair, red bloodshot all the time, eyes, freckles, and he was the lead guitar player in the Thin Red Line. So that moved, so he became the lead guitar player. He was not the original. There was this wonderful man named Robert Aguayo, sweet, and he's still doing his thing. Our first real gig, the Sunshine, it's, oh God, this, I could do this forever. Let's just say that we got discovered playing an open mic. We were told by this guy that he could get us a record deal. We're like, yeah, great, here's our number, call us when you got it. And he called back and he said, be at this place at a certain time. And so we went. I had, at the time, a 56 Ford ranch wagon, piled all the equipment in the back of the station wagon, all piled in, and we drove up to Hollywood. I've been to Hollywood maybe twice in my life. Oh, fuck. And so we found our way, and we got to this place, and it was a Gold Star. I'm like, Gold Star? Now, I don't know what Gold Star is. But we were met by the guy that told us he could get us a deal. And so he brought us into this little room. There was an engineer, and we set up, and we played 3 or 4 songs, and they were terrible. I heard demos much later. It cracked me up. And then that was done. Okay, so tear it down, but then I want you guys to not leave. I want to show you something. So we tore down, packed it up, went back in, and this guy that got us this recording session brought us into this big room. And it was like a soundstage at Gold Star. Gold Star, it was a very famous studio, just know it at the time. Right. And it was a Neil Diamond recording. And the Wrecking Crew, I didn't know at the time. And all these, I mean, it was like this beautiful thing in Neil Diamond, baby loves me, yeah, that kind of thing. And off in the back by the drums, here's this guy playing tambourine. And we were told, get up against the back wall, do not make a sound. You're not supposed to be here. Just keep your mouth shut and watch. And then when I tell you, slowly file out, be quiet, because we're doing you a favor right now. And here's this guy playing the tambourine. He's got a big nose. And I look at him like, that's Ringo Starr.
No.
And I went, that's Ringo!
Oh, no.
Get out of here. So I got chased out. We got chased out. And then like a week later, we were asked to go to another place in LA, just bring an acoustic guitar. So we did, and we went into this studio, into this office building that said Liberty Records. I didn't know. We went in, walked down a hall, there's a door. Al Bennett opened the door. There's the president of Liberty Records. He said, so I understand that you guys can sing pretty good. Sing me a song. And so we did. And then he said, well, sing me one more. And so we did. And he said, oh, thanks. And we were, okay, scurry away now. And that was it. And we left. And from that moment until we did our first real gig was at Birmingham High School. And it was a great folk rock band called Peanut Butter Conspiracy in LA. Anyone that's old enough, they'll remember that band. They were great. Peanut Butter Conspiracy, Sunshine Company, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band at the time, the Jefferson Airplane, and the headline act was the Doors.
Wow.
And so I went from playing the Zombies like 6 months, and we had recorded our first single, which ended up charting, and playing in front of 10,000 people.
Wow.
And that original 5-piece, 4 people walked on stage. I can only speak for myself, but I saw that crowd and I said, this is where I belong. This is the shit, pure and simple.
Right.
One of the people just couldn't hang at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got Red in the band as the lead guitar player. And that was it. You know, that's how the whole thing started back in the day when a guy by the name of William E. McEwen, John McEwen's brother, managed Sunshine Company, managed the Hourglass that became the Allman Brothers, managed Dirt Band, managed Steve Martin, produced all of Steve's movies.
So how did you, first of all, how long was the Sunshine Company together?
We actually together from early 67 through 69.
So not that long. So then how did you get to Loggins and Messina?
One of the bands that we used to open for, the Sunshine Company had 2 gigs. We would go out and do our own because we had success. Or we were an opening act for one of 3, at the time it was Association for the Performing Arts, APA. They had 3 acts and we would go out and we would open for them. Okay, next week you're going to be out for 8 days with the Jefferson Airplane. And then you come home for a couple of days, then you're going to go out with the Doors for 4 days. You know, you come home, but then we've got 3-day one-offs with the Buffalo Springfield.
All right, so you named...
That's how I met Messina, because of that, Dewey, the original bass player, got pot for pot when it was like ugly.
Yeah.
California, you could get life imprisonment, shit.
Wow.
And they sent him back to Canada. And so Jimmy was working at Sunset Sound as an engineer, second engineer, and the Springfield recorded there, and they met Jimmy, and it turned out that Jimmy, already a great guitar player, started playing bass with the Springfield, and he liked the way I played, and he liked the way I tuned my drums, and we became friends. And then they broke up and we broke up, and there came a time when I just said, screw Hollywood, I hate this business. And I packed my drums in Larry Sims, the bass player in Sunshine Company's garage, and I moved up and lived outside of Sacramento, basically on a horse ranch. And which as you know, I've had horses most all my life. And so I got a phone call from Messina, and he called. And he said, I want you to come down and audition for a band a band that's going to be a band for this guy that I'm going to produce by the name of Kenny Loggins. And I said, no. And this girl that I was with up there said, you should probably go, because if you don't, you might regret if you don't. And I said, okay, Jimmy, send me a round trip, you know? And he said, okay. So I went down, I spent the night with Larry Sims at his house, packed up my drums, put them in the back of his car, drove up to this wonderful Spanish hacienda-style house up on Mulholland Drive, and this big pool house, and there was Jimmy, and he and I played, and that man is such a great guitar player. Messina, if you see this, I tell people all the time, you're the best I've ever played with, and I mean that with all of my heart. Just this great guitar player. And so, and at the time, I did some drugs, just because I didn't want to be there, and I figured if I just stay a little stoned, I'd just be an idiot, and then he'd send me home. And so for the time that I played in front of Jimmy that day, I was just stoned. I don't think I played one drum fill the whole time, but I can groove pretty good. And so I sat there and I just played these grooves, and Jimmy played the guitar. And the way he plays is, if you're a drummer, you can't not groove with him. He's just that guitar player. And so after a couple, 3 hours, he said, okay, we're done. And I said, thank God. And I'm thinking, now can you take me back to the airport? And he said, you're it. You got the gig. I'm like, what?
Wow.
And so the PS to this story really quick. So Jimmy wanted me to meet his father-in-law, who was the man that owned this house. And so I walked up the steps with Jimmy, and here's this man sitting, holding court next to, this is in January of 71, and there's a fire going, and it's a nice, beautiful, beautiful house. And I walk in, and he walks over and he says, Barry, I'd like you to meet my new drummer. This is Merel Bregante. And it was Barry Sullivan, the great actor Barry Sullivan. And Jimmy was married to Jenny, Barry's older daughter.
Wow.
And the first thing that man said to me, and I was just a little high, and he said, is God tangible? And I went, yeah. And that led to we talked together until 4 o'clock in the morning. This little bevy of starlets that were gathered, they were like,
God being tangible.
Is God intangible? Or is God tangible? And they just we don't belong here. And slowly they split. And we had this wonderful conversation, and I loved that man and became dear friends with him.
Okay, so that
I'm sorry,
happens.
I go off.
No, that's great. That's great.
See,
That
I
was
told you, great storyteller.
Great storyteller. So that happens, and you appreciate their musicianship, Loggins and Messina. I've always just their voices.
And Kenny Loggins' face.
Okay.
I used to look at his album.
Huh?
So, but
right.
When he says you have the gig, are you thinking, great, I'm going to be in one of the iconic bands of the 70s?
Or you just think it's
I had no idea. I didn't know who Kenny Loggins was. I didn't know anybody in the band. At that point in time, there was another bass player who I thought was really good. Jimmy didn't sort of dig the way he played with me. And I had the gig.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy asked me if I would suggest anybody. I said, well, yeah. I suggest Larry Sims. I mean, we've been a rhythm section now for almost 5 years, and the guy's got the most beautiful tenor voice on earth. And so, may I suggest him? And he said, Larry, I didn't think about him. Anyway, so Larry showed up, and that came. The only other person was the alto player, Al Garth, played alto and violin. And then John Clark came in, and then Kenny came and started singing. And of course, I thought he was a great singer. At the time, I thought he was a great singer. He's still a great singer. He's matured, and there was an innocence about him in the beginning that I found endearing. And that's enough of that.
All right. So, who wrote the songs in
Both of them.
Okay. And so, I mean, that's the other piece, I guess, is you have all sorts of great musicians, but you started by talking about, I let the song tell me what's going to happen. You have to have great songs to be a great band.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that gig for me was, especially with Jimmy's songs, we'd get together and he'd play the guitar and I'd play the drums. He wouldn't tell me what to play. It was easy because he would play these angry eyes. That thing, how can you not play?
Right.
You got to play that.
Right.
And it was simple. Kenny was a little more difficult because he would ask you to play what you felt, and if you didn't dig it, then he'd ask you to play what you felt again. And sometimes.
That is what I felt.
The seventh time I felt it the first time would be the one that that's it. It would go like that. But it was when the whole thing came together. It was a band. And one of the things that Jimmy said to me, and I probably said it to everyone, and he said, and I honor him for this, when we are successful, you will participate. I paraphrase, but still, that's what he said. When we are successful, you will participate. And I still do.
You know, the other thing that just strikes a chord with me, no pun intended, is the fraternity.
Without the B string.
Yeah, right. Is the fraternity of musicians. Just, we've gotten to talk to a couple of musicians in the last month or so, and everyone just talks about the relationships, and it amazes me sitting here hearing all these people you knew who, as a teen or a preteen, you idolize them and you think, well, if I ever got to meet them. And what has struck me the most is just the fraternity and how you all help each other. And it's amazing. Well, I mean, it's
sometimes, most times,
it seems that way.
It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be that way.
I'm sure not everyone.
The business of music is a bitch. There's a great 2.5-minute video that Zappa talks about the downfall of the business of music. It's so correct.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the cigar chompers that turned into the young guys that thought they knew everything, and they had one hit, and that's what they wanted to sound like forever. And Zappa's talking about experimental music in the '60s, and the music men that I knew one of, which was Clive Davis, and his head of album promotions at the time, Steve Popovich, who became one of my very dearest friends, and Irving fuck him. Come on, Merle. Warner Brothers. His name has left me right now. I'll remember it.
Yeah.
Or Atlantic Records. They would go out at night after work, and they go to clubs, and they watched music. They were the music men. And as Zappa says, and one guy would call another guy, "What is that?" "I don't know. I threw it out there and it sold a couple million units. So I'll try it again." But it'll be something different because it was all experimental, and that was a beautiful time in music because everyone was doing their own thing, and and the audience was accepting of that. In the early '70s, things started changing.
Yeah.
Go away.
But good ringtone.
That is a great singer-songwriter. And also an 8th Dan karate black belt. I like him a lot. He's my friend. So up to the '70s, you had, in LA, you had the Wrecking Crew.
Uh-huh.
And they played on everything. And it was beautiful.
Well, okay, so I know I've seen the documentaries. Right. I know.
So you know the Wrecking Crew.
Explain who
viewers.
the Wrecking Crew was.
The Wrecking Crew was the band that played on every hit that came out of LA for 15 years probably.
Mm-hmm.
Hal Blaine, Jimmy Gordon, Earl Palmer.
So when people talk about session guys or studio musicians, right? They're at the very top of the list of historic session or studio musicians.
Them and the people in Motown and the people in
Nashville.
Not Nashville.
Okay, all right. Where were you going to say?
Fuck.
So
Memphis? No.
At
In
Stax?
Memphis?
Well, Stax was the Memphis players,
Right.
which were basically Booker T and the MGs, and come on, Merle in Alabama.
Muscle Shoals.
Muscle Shoals.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
They
wrote a whole song about
those.
that.
Those were the
Right.
places.
Okay.
Some in Philadelphia, but L.A., New York.
Right.
That was the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And in the early '70s, producers like Jimmy wanted to put bands together that could play their own music. That way they could go out and perform it, and there was none of this. Oh, now we got to rehearse.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Messina was a rehearsal freak anyway. And that first album, we started in February of '71, and we recorded in November of '71, and we rehearsed basically 5 days a week that whole time.
Wow.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But when we recorded it in CBS studios in LA, Studio A, this huge soundstage, it's live. There's some overdubbing, but minimal. We played that shit live, and we knew it. And Messina, again, really quick, he had this wonderful plan, and his plan was, you write a song, and there's an outline. Intro, verse, chorus, solo, chorus, out, whatever. But what Jimmy did was, he would have us create the head of the song was always the same. Verse, chorus. Maybe a bridge, maybe not. But then we would go into the solos, and coming into the first solo, there would be an introduction that was common every time. And that was a motif, and that was our cue that we were going to get into this. It might be a saxophone, it might be fiddle, it might be guitar, whatever. And that solo would go as long as the player had what he had to say, and he was saying whatever that was. And then when he was done saying, there would be an out. It was every time.
Mm-hmm.
And he would play that, and we knew, okay, now I know where I am. Because shit, you're doing this thing, who knows where you are? And then it would morph into the next solo, and there would be beautiful, beautiful segues, notes that would be harmonic, notes that would be octave or unison, and all of a sudden it would go from alto saxophone into flute or guitar or whatever, or tenor sax or whatever. And so a song on Monday that was 5.5 minutes long, on Tuesday would be exactly the same arrangement, except it would be 7.5 minutes long, because two of the soloists said I had more shit to say, so I said it. And what a beautiful concept, because we could take that on stage, and believe me, there were, we played some of that shit for a long, long time. And there would be times when we would look at, it became sort of a joke with the audience as well, because we'd be looking at each other and we're like, where the hell do we go now? Because they would just go,
well, okay,
but we would always get back.
Right. Okay. So you're making this music, and so you didn't know it when you met them, but now you're in the studio making the music. Are you sitting here thinking every teenage girl in America is going to fall for this? And you had a firm conviction then.
No doubt.
Okay.
Before we ever went in the studio, there was no doubt. I knew that it was.
What's that feeling like?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I'd already had that feeling with the Sunshine Company.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is a whole different thing. It was during the Crosby, Stills and Nash era. No, there was no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Jimmy had put together a very successful thing. All great players. My goal has always been to be the worst player in the band, because if you're the worst player in the band, you gotta step up. And so that's where you learn. And I was.
All right. So you had this run of success with them, and then
I played, after that was done, I did a year with Chris Hillman.
Mm-hmm.
He had recorded an album with Asylum Records, and we toured that album, and then we recorded his second solo album that I played drums on and like that. And then he moved on to Souther Hillman Foray and all those things. And when that was done, my friend Jeff Hanna from the Dirt Band, who I knew the Dirt Band from the very beginning, said, "So I understand you're free." And I said, "Well, right now, yeah, I am. Well, I'm not free, but I won't charge you a lot." So I played with the Dirt Band for a nice chunk of time, and that was beautiful. I loved them.
Yeah.
Then, through hook and crook that are unimportant, I spent a good chunk of time with David Soul.
Of
Don't Give Up on Us, Baby.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
And we toured everywhere. He could basically not buy a gig in America. He was Hutch.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't, but he started off as a folk singer, and he played minor league ball for Chicago Cubs.
So
Wow.
that's way too much talent in one body.
Right, that's not fair.
Right, and he was good looking too.
Right.
So, but I'm glad you said that, because I had never put all of that together. Like, I didn't realize that when you said David Soul, I thought Hutch. I didn't think Don't Give Up on Us Now, Baby.
We would play in Japan, as an example. We were in Japan for 6 weeks, the first time I was in Japan, and we were staying at the Miyako Hotel, and this band walked in, and they were obviously American. So, "Hey, come on over." We were sitting in the coffee shop. They came over and sat down, and they said, "Who are you here with?" And we said, "David Soul." And they, "Oh yeah, right, David Soul." And so they said, "Well, we just finished playing at the Sundome." "No, shit, come on." There are two huge arenas in Tokyo. They'd played at one, and they said, and we almost sold it out, like 18,000 people. And we sold 15,500 or something. And I'm like, cool. And I said, we played there as well. And they said, "Really? How'd you do?" And I said, "We sold out 2 nights in a row." David Soul.
Right.
There was this sea of beautiful young Japanese girls, all of them dressed in school uniforms with bangs. I'm like, oh my God. And you would play and all you heard was, Hachi-san, Hachi-san. It was great. And then after that, I went to Nashville and played with Gary Morris for 4 years, 3.5 years, and then made my escape. I did not like it there at all. Chris Wall, you know who Chris Wall was?
No.
Great song. Oh, you don't. You should know who Chris Wall is.
I will as soon as I get in my car. That's the beauty of Spotify.
Chris Wall. And he had a saying that said, I'd rather be a fence post in Texas than the king of Tennessee.
Well, I love that.
I loved it too, believe me, because I lived there and I didn't dig it at all. And they didn't dig me at all. I was asked, what's the difference in Nashville and LA? And I said, in LA, in Nashville, they say, well, God bless him. And that's the kiss of death.
Right, right.
Oh, God
It's a
bless him.
Southern.
God bless that boy.
Yeah.
And I said, in LA, they tell you to fuck off to your face. I'll take LA every day.
Right. Yeah.
You'd rather know what you're dealing with.
Right.
Don't you want to?
Most of the time.
And then I played with Pure Prairie League for a few years. And that was wonderful.
Wow.
Then that's when I quit drugs and I moved to Phoenix and quit drugs. And it took me about 4 years to get myself really together. And that's when I got a phone call from this young woman that said, you taught my mom 10 years ago when I was a 12-year-old and I was playing with my stepfather's band. And she thinks now I'm out of medical school and she thinks that I would be a good source of information because a guy's offering me something and I don't think it's right, but I don't know. And so we called your lawyer in Denver and he gave us your phone number. And that was 36 years ago.
So that's how you got to Texas.
That's how I got to meet the best.
That's how you got to Sarah.
Well, I was just going to say, Sarah brought you to Texas.
Actually, she did. We moved from Phoenix back to California, and we lived in Santa Barbara, which is 100 miles north. I mean, it's the same kind of coastline, beautiful cliffs and water. And we lived 200 feet from the bluff in this beautiful little house. And I wanted to stay there more than I can express. And the woman at the time, this is 94, early 94. And she offered us this little house, like 900 square feet, beautiful little yard, redwood, California live oak, redwood hot tub, like that. It was really beautiful, and she would sell it to us easy buy for $400,000 in '94. That's probably a couple $1 million now,
Right.
Yeah.
And that was much more money than we had, and so we had an opportunity to come here to visit a guitar player that legend has it, Stevie Ray said, the best guitar player in Texas, and that's a man named John Inman. And Inman is just brilliant beyond belief. And John had played, these stories just go every direction. Let's just say that I had met John and I invited him to Arizona to record with Sarah on this little project that we did, and he did. And man, when he said, you know, come to Austin and meet some people there, I think it'd be great for Sarah's songwriting. And I'm like, yeah. and the truth, when we came here, before we found we rented a house and we went to the Alamo, and I walked through the Alamo and I was in there 5 minutes and I was bawling like a baby.
Has an effect on you.
It captured me.
Texas history does that.
Oh my God. And the last time I was there was Texas Independence Day, and I played there with Jerry Jeff.
Oh, how fun.
Oh, it was great fun. I did 2 tours with Jerry Jeff because his drummer had gone off to India to find himself. And
you said, I know myself, so I'll play for you.
That's a whole other story.
That's interesting because one of the sort of modern patrons of the Alamo is another great drummer, Phil Collins.
He's got the huge
whole collection and all the rest of it. And it does sort of speak to how universal the Alamo is.
Man,
Mhm.
So,
it put me to my knees.
mhm.
It really did.
Yeah.
And I love Texas. And I especially love our land.
It's beautiful.
We have a lot of it, so that's good.
We have our horses and we have our goats.
The goats, we met the goats this morning.
And we have our chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And we have every Central Texas mammal that can
Armadillos,
exist. They're
right?
here.
Right.
We have a herd of about 20 deer that stay here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 3 or 4 pair of twins this year. A couple of them just brand new. I mean,
Aw.
babies, spots
The little
like that.
fawns.
Right.
So,
and so you're close to Austin. Liberty Hill is obviously close to Austin, but you're not in the
with
midst
the
of
toll
it.
road now, it's like 35
Yeah.
minutes, 30 minutes.
And so
And you have your studio, which brings us full circle. Here we
have-
are. You can still make music, and that just amazes me with today's technology that you're sitting in the country and you're making music.
Well, before COVID, people would come here.
Right.
COVID stopped it. And thankfully, because of the digital revolution, I guess you would say, it was here longer than COVID for sure. But
Right.
because of COVID and the pandemic and mandates for not being able to do this or having to do
Right.
this or whatever, my 2020 calendar was booked into 21. The entire year was booked. In March of 20, it was like a blizzard. There was nothing in the book. And that was the only time. It's the only time that I haven't been booked since 95 when we started the Crib Works down in Austin. I've always been booked. And I didn't know what to do really. And it worked out. And I got to say one thing really quick. There's a fellow named Nick Landis, and he's a brilliant mastering engineer, but he's also an acoustician, a pro. And this little studio, I knew what I wanted. Enough time in studio, and you don't want parallel surfaces. You don't want there are no parallel, even though they look parallel. There's nothing parallel in this studio. And Nick came in. It looks parallel to the floor. It's not. From that crease down is like 12 feet 8 inches, and from that crease down is like 12 feet 5.
most people don't look for a crooked house, but I guess you do.
You definitely don't want parallel wall. Anyway, Nick came in, and if this studio does good work, it's because of the work that he did. He came in with as a professional acoustician, and he brought in his computer, and he brought in his tones. We shot that room 24 different positions, and this one 12. And then he came back with this plan for how much area I needed to treat acoustically and where it should go. And I have been told proudly that, and I don't know if it could be total bull, but I'm going to go with it. And that is, this is one of the best sounding small rooms in America.
Awesome.
Well, you were playing stuff for us a little bit earlier, and I'm going to agree, even though my ear is about as amateur as you can get.
No, you
Hers
have a great
isn't.
No, you have a great ear for
Okay.
music.
So
So-
that sort of brings us full circle. You added one more person to the mix, the acoustician. I said that right?
Acoustician.
Okay. But you still beat the drums, right?
I do.
Okay. Do you get out and play live
With Sarah.
with Sarah? So tell us a little bit about Sarah and where people might see her, hear her, that sort of stuff.
Sarah Pierce.
Sarah Pierce.
Sarah Pierce.
I listened to her yesterday, by the way. She's great.
She's great.
Mhm.
We have a 35-year marriage, a 36-year relationship. Put her first band together after medical school. She has a master's in medical science from Emory University, which is pretty astounding in itself. Anyway, we put a band together and played, and the first every record we've released at least one single, maybe two, depending on the genre, and they've all been successful. I have a chart downstairs. She did one record to adult contemporary. She just wanted to see, because it was right at around 2000, because Sheryl Crow was just huge.
Right.
And she said, I want to do that too. I want to see
And you said, yeah, good, go ahead, do that.
Well, I did, because I hired the players. It was still, we were in our old house, and we recorded this album called Love's the Only Way. And I have a chart downstairs, adult contemporary, and Sarah Pierce is number 11 in the nation on radio. And below her on that chart are Sheryl Crow, Alanis Morissette, Kenny Loggins.
Did you send it to Kenny?
Sting.
Did you say?
Well, no, there's a story there too. Sting and Phil Collins. I mean, she was higher than all those people. I'm just so proud of that. 18 and 19, she was awarded from the Country Music CMA of Texas, Western Female Singer and Songwriter of the Year, 18 and 19. 19, I was awarded Studio and Producer of the Year by the CMA of Texas. She's been numerous nominations subsequent to that.
So is it just Sarah Pierce? Like if
Sarah Pierce, www. Don't you have forget the W.
Right.
SarahPierce.com.
SarahPierce.com. It's Pierce.
SarahPierce.
All right. So
And just recently, we went up to Albuquerque, Amarillo, excuse me. Albuquerque's in November.
Right.
We went up to Amarillo, and we I don't deserve this. I'll say it openly. She and Randy Palmer,
Right.
Yeah.
and I wrote a line, but that made me a co-write. But she was awarded the Spur Award, the 2025 Western Writers of America Spur Award. And if you look it up, you find that it is one of the 3 most prestigious literary awards given on any given year, any genre. The Spur Award is huge. And so she's been nominated for a bunch. She's got nominations in Europe right now. She's got nominations in Albuquerque right now. She's got nominations pending, but that one is a tattoo that'll never go away.
Well, bring her to Waco, please.
Right.
You know what? That would be great. And right now, she's gone from as big as a 6-piece rock and roll, played Green Hall and haul ass for 4 hours, to playing by herself, and playing as a duet, doing song circles. The economy really is difficult to deal taking a full band on the road.
Yeah,
I bet.
Holy shit. I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And there's something about the way she presents her music when it's alone. She definitely she engages an audience, and her songs are definitely designed to empower women. So that's where she's at now.
Well, bring her, and I'll bring the women.
Right.
Well,
And the men. So you want to do a quick rapid fire?
Go.
Yes, rapid fire. Okay. Best
No,
place.
yes, no,
Best
yeah.
place you ever played. Best venue.
Best venue I've ever played.
Right. Got to be quick.
It's rapid fire, Merle.
Albert Hall.
Okay. That's yes.
Biggest influence, musical influence.
Biggest influence, Ringo or Al Jackson Jr.
Okay.
All right. Instrument you would play, you would pick up and learn today.
Piano.
Old studios with the big soundboards, or digital studios like you have now?
Either.
Best
Nice.
meal you ever had on the road.
On the road.
Yeah.
On the road. Well, there's a story there in itself. In a little Italian restaurant, downstairs Italian restaurant in New York.
All right.
Most comfortable hotel?
None. God, the most the Warwick in New York.
Okay.
All right. Best book you ever read.
Oh my! I'm an incessant reader. I read 3 a week.
Okay. That just makes it a hard question.
This is a big one.
Okay.
The best book because of world. No, that's bullshit. God, I don't know.
Okay, fiction or nonfiction?
Yes, more fiction than nonfiction. Nonfiction, I do a lot of research, and so that's for nonfiction.
All right.
All right, you are awesome. So
No, so the most awesome I've ever been was here now.
All right.
he is the best, and I feel so lucky to actually get to meet you. Steve told me after talking to you, he said, Melissa, you are going to love Merle, and he's right.
He told me the same thing.
I feel like I have a new friend, and I just want you to come to Waco. I want to meet Sarah. We need to go to dinner. But in the meantime, for all of you out there, please watch our podcast at Texas 10 on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube or any others, and follow us on texas10.com.
Right. Go to sarahpierce.com to hear some of the music.
And if I may,
yeah, sure.
If you want to know about the studio, go to cribworksdigitalaudio.com,
Okay.
CRIBWORKS, cribworksdigitalaudio.com.
There you go.
So you have to have a little music in your life, and Texas 10 can't live without it. And we love meeting new people and meeting the people behind the scenes.
Merle, you're the best.
No,
Thanks
y'all
so
are the
much.
best.
No,
truly.
you're the best, really.
No, we're the best.
We have to get out.
Oh!
Was he talking about you?
Thanks.
And I love this land. Oh, it takes my breath away. From the Palo Duro to the Gulf Coast plain. From the heart of the hill country to the piney wood shade. I love this land. It takes my breath away.